Hello, welcome once again to the 100th episode, in fact, of It's a Frankly Hairy podcast. I'm your host, Frank Weber. So glad that you could join me here in the forest one more time. I'm very grateful for you. I'm very, very grateful for your support over 100 and actually a little more than 100 episodes if you count a handful of bonuses. Haven't done many bonuses, but main point is that I knew that I would get to this point, but I wasn't really sure a lot of times how it would all play out. And this show, I'm glad that you're here with me as this show continues to grow and evolve, and I can't do it without you. I'm glad that the numbers go up every week, even if it's by just a few listens or sometimes by a couple of hundred. And I'm glad that I'm here. It's a great blessing. I'm very grateful for it. Can't wait to see where we go in the future. And I do this show because there's a lot of things in society that we don't really talk about. And I think they're important, not just from a discussion perspective, but also for improving our lives. And I feel like a lot of us are not, including myself a lot of times, are not living our lives to the full. And if we can't discuss things and find problems and find solutions to that, then we're kind of going to go through life still kind of mired in what we should do and where we should go, and are we really doing the best that we can? And I think it's very important to talk about those things, and that's the main gist of this show, whether I do it solo as I have for 100 episodes now, or if I add guests later. I think it would be a little bit more fun for me with guests, and I think it'd probably be fun for you, the audience, as well. But that's mainly what I do here. And I also tell you a lot of stories, about my life and about things that have been going on. And with that in mind, I have kind of a good segue this week. As many of you, I've been saying for several episodes now, as many of you know, we are moving from Canyon, Texas to Munster, Texas, which is about 300 miles and almost 5 hours, according to I think it's Google Maps, but I think that's without stopping, and that's driving the speed limit, if I'm not mistaken. But usually you have to stop somewhere along the way and for gas or whatever, as I usually do. But anyway, we closed on the new house in Munster the other day. That's Weber East. I'm still recording from Weber West, which is for sale and is under contract, and we'll probably be closing on this at the end of March. Anyway, this house we got there in Munster, a nice country house, couple of acres, really great house. And I'm going to tell you, really great blessing. There's actually some very pleasant surprises that we found in this house. Just to give you a little bit of a background, it's a little bit larger than the one that we're in. But, it's got, we're always learning new things about it. My wife noticed that there's a touchless faucet in the kitchen, and there's a convection oven and a microwave. So all those things are very important to her. And there's also an indoor storm shelter, metal storm shelter, that I think she originally thought was like a big gun room or something like that. I don't know why she was thinking about that, but that was a little bit of a surprise that I don't think we realized on first viewing the house. There's obviously there's things you have to figure out that you can't from just one or two viewings before you buy it. And then I ventured up to the attic the other day, And it's a lot roomier than the attic that I have here. But I noticed in the middle that there is a huge, I guess you could call it TV antenna. A lot of people are putting them in, or TV antenna or an amplifier that a lot of people are apparently putting in the attic to protect them from the elements and what have you. And they're supposed to be properly grounded, of course, so that you don't have any problems. But I was pleasantly surprised by that. I don't know that I've ever talked about it much on this show, but where we live right now in Canyon is south of Amarillo. It's a good ways from the TV towers in town, which are on the other side of town, and apparently they don't put out a lot of power, and you've really got to have some kind of powerful amplifier in order to get over-the-air HD TV signals. And so this is something that I've been interested in doing here off and on for a while. And I assume that that's what this is at the new house. And I brought along an older flat screen TV. It may have been too old really to do this, but I hooked it up to it, and I wasn't able to get any pictures or anything. But that's kind of an exciting project to me, even though I'll be subscribing to satellite and whatnot again, most likely. But that actually trying to get that over-the-air signal has been kind of a thorn in my side. But anyway, what I'm telling you is that there's a lot of great, pleasant surprises in this house. And so I'm telling you that this is a tremendous blessing for me and for us. And I look forward to many years living there and enjoying the area and being out in the country, a little bit away from hustle and bustle, but not too far away. What are we, like an hour? Or depends on what part of the Metroplex you go to, but it's, I guess, roughly an hour on average. But anyway, now that said, it's been a while since I bought a new and moved into a new house. We've been in this one for 15 years as of March 4th, which I believe is the day this episode comes out. But there are some challenges, of course, moving into new places because you don't know where a lot of things are. I haven't found where the AC filter goes yet. I don't know. I'm always curious about that. I'm sure they have one there. But one of the things that happened at the very first week, we were given a bunch of keys. And this house, we have basically been able to coordinate keys where there's basically one key for the front door and the back door. Very simple system. And we walk in Friday afternoon and there's, what is this, like 10 keys or something like that? There's a different key. Some of them are mislabeled, first of all. And I'm not saying anything about the original owner or anything. I'm grateful that she sold us the house and everything. But there's at least 10 keys in there. Some of them are mislabeled, so I had to go around and check them all out. And there's different keys for the front door and the back door and the door that goes from the house to the garage. There's apparently a side door as well. Can't find a key for that. Can't find a key for the outdoor pump shed. And then we've also got some extra keys that I have no idea what they go to. And so that, along with, figuring out where the AC filter is and finding other tricks involved in the house, that's going to be a bit of a process, and it can be very overwhelming. And then I try to go and I guess I don't do this as much anymore as I should, but then I tried to go and get some of these keys duplicated last night at Walmart, of all places, which I don't know if is really the best place to do this since it's not a true hardware or home improvement store. But they wanted $5 for a brass key. And I, of course, historically, when I saw my dad or mom go and make keys, it was always really cheap to have one made. They wanted $5 for one, and I'm like, I need several keys made here. And I'm like, that's that's too much. But I think they are still relatively cheap at other places. Like, I mean, by now you shouldn't have to spend more than like $2 or $3 ever on something like that. But that was really crazy to me, and makes me kind of wonder if I need to get a locksmith out and synchronize all the doors. I don't know if that would be worth it or not. I also discovered, actually, since I came back Sunday evening, it's already Tuesday, as I tell you this, that there's two garage doors, a big one and a small one. And the big one is one brand, and we have a clicker for that, but then the small one is a different brand. We don't have a clicker for that. And apparently, the brand that I have and that particular clicker is not compatible with the other opener. So I'm having to deal with that. In addition to all the moving issues about moving stuff around and packing and all that, there are some yellow jackets or wasps or something that are over by the pump shed that I was talking about earlier. And anyway, one other thing that I would tell you, and I'm just mentioning this because again, buying and selling houses, for most people, it's not something that they do every day. And so we had an experience with this 15 years ago, but then, you know, you get involved in other things and time passes by and you kind of forget about all this stuff, like going to a new place and learning where everything is and how everything works and trying to get the most out of it. There was a little bit of a frustration night I had, and this is going to be kind of making fun of other jobs and professions here. Because, you know, I was in dentistry for a while. Everybody makes fun of dentists and says terrible things about us, even though we go out and we do the best we can and provide a valuable service to everybody. But I'm found myself, after the fact especially, being very frustrated with home inspectors. And I complain on this show that we live in a very overkill society. And they go in and they check all these things. And a lot of these details are very minor and probably not important in the long run. I mean, you can go ahead and fix them if there's really anything to need fixing, or augment them if they need to be augmented, or whatever the case may be. But you're not intimately familiar with the house, and so you don't know if there's really a problem until you go back and a lot of times after you buy it, and see if there's really an issue that they're talking about there. And our inspector on this house listed so many things that I just don't think are really problematic at all and don't need to be fixed, and yet they give you this report, and it can be helpful to you because you can lower the price on the house, but then if it's not really a real problem, then, you know, it kind of doesn't feel right either in some sense. And but they tell you all this stuff, and people get emotional about it, especially the wives. And then it helps you with the negotiation, but then, you know, is there a real issue there? So it gets very frustrating in our overkill society. And I had the same thing here in selling this house. The inspector here didn't find much at all, but he claimed that there was one of our windows that didn't get damaged by the hail last summer, but we did replace a screen on this window, and he claimed that the window was broken enough to where it didn't open and close properly. But then I debated that, and but then the buyers don't necessarily know that, and then they perhaps want to negotiate that. So that's a potential bargaining chip for them, even though it's not really true. So I'm getting really frustrated with home inspectors in these negotiations, because they can have a very big undue influence on the final price of a house. and then you get really upset because a lot of people don't want to move in and do a bunch of projects. But then you have my wife who still goes in and insists that she wants to paint some of the rooms and put a big fence up on 2 acres of property, which is going to be very expensive. In fact, I had a joke earlier. We have this this house is lovely, and I don't know, the paint scheme to me is okay. It reminded me a lot of the paint scheme in my dad's old house, where he had the living areas had, I guess it was stained wood trim and sort of a bright colored walls. And I guess that's a German thing. I don't know for sure, but this new house has something very similar to that. And I don't think it's ugly. And I also don't think the chandelier in the dining room is ugly at all. I think this is a crystal chandelier. I think it looks terrific. I don't think it's bad in any ways, but for some reason my wife doesn't like it because it's just not, simple, I don't know. I don't know if she likes simple. I don't know if a lot of women like simple. Life can be really simple, but we have to make it complicated and overkill a lot of times. But she wants to paint the place, or some of the rooms anyway, and what is it? Put up a fence out there, which none of the neighbors have fences. I could see how a fence would be useful, but I don't know. It's just, I hope you can get some inkling of what I'm going through with all this. And then it's crazy. She even called the security service to set up a time for us, and that's a month out, and we don't even really know what kind of internet we're going to be using yet. Most likely, I think it's most likely satellite out there, but I don't know. They keep calling me every day trying to set up a time, and I haven't moved the satellite TV or the cable or the internet out there just yet. But anyway, so I'm just wondering why she can't be a little bit more simple on those things. But anyway, overall, I don't want you to think that I'm griping or bitching about a lot of this stuff. We have a really great house and beautiful landscape, fairly quiet, and I hope that we make the best of it. And I look forward, of course, to doing shows in there, hopefully with guests here in the not too distant future, if I can figure out my way in the financial and business world here after 2026. So continue to study as I continue to study in that field. So I hope you enjoyed my little brief discussion on what I've discovered about the house so far and some of the challenges with moving into a new place, and I hope that was entertaining for you here. What I wanted to finish up on the show here today, being episode number 100, I figured that I would try to give you a little bit of a, nugget of hope and inspiration in a world that is really pretty crazy. Just in the last week since I did the last recording, we've seen, and I'm not trying to make this political or anything. Like today is Texas's, this is the midterm primary. So we have this March primary every 2 years, and I don't know, I kind of dismissed it on the last show, of course, since it's just a primary and kind of boring how, it's this party with, elections within a party is basically what it is this time around. But I'm not trying to talk about politics here too much, but after I recorded that show, we had the State of the Union address last Tuesday, where there's obviously continues to be a ridiculous amount of division in this country alone, and politicians that can't support the president and can't support each other. And then, of course, this weekend we had an issue where We've had trouble, of course, with Iran for a lot of years. And you can decide whether you like the bombing and the taking out of important leaders, or whether that you can decide for yourself whether that was necessary or whether it was not. They have been a problem for this country and for the world for a lot of years, though. And my intent here is to just tell you, we live in a very large, maybe it's not that large, but it's a pretty big place, this world, with a lot of different people, and all people, I think, really want freedom. They want to live their own lives, and they would like things to be, I think most people desire things to be a little bit simpler, less complicated, and to live in freedom, live in peace, live in happiness. I have that in my heart every day, not just as a child of God, but just, just human being. It's what I think we all want. And the question that comes into my mind and should come into other people's minds, and it's hard for me to implement this, by the way, but, what can we do, even simple things, to make other people's lives better? Now, it could be something really simple, from driving courteously, which I know I gripe about on this show a lot. In fact, I had a story last Wednesday, I think it was. Had to get out of the house for the home inspector and decided to go vote early in this primary. And then I'm at an intersection in downtown Canyon. This is kind of one of the reasons that I'm leaving Canyon, is that it's gotten bizarrely crazy for a town of its size, or the attitude has changed, or something has happened. But I'm sitting at a light in downtown Canyon, and it's one lane either way, but there is some space to our side. But there winds up being an old grandma in a minivan come up on the side, and there's 2 or 3 cars in front of me. She comes up on the side so that she can turn right because she's in a hurry. And I guess there's enough space for her to do that, but I think that's actually illegal. But it was a very bizarre sight, but you see this all the time around here. So obviously driving courteously is important, but also when you meet face-to-face with other people, do unto others is very important. I believe in that, but you also have to, that includes actually being kind, and no matter what you think of the other person or what kind of past you had to them, there's no excuse for not doing unto others and being kind to them, because it's cheap, and it's inexpensive, and it's easy to do, and try to lift the burden on them somehow. Now I know there's a lot of people out there, a lot of takers, a lot of people trying to get stuff for free, and you don't really know what their actual intent is. But then the important thing still overall is just to be kind to them. Try to do what you would do to anybody else as far as brightening their day, whether it's a smile or making them laugh. That's the other part of this that I try to do. I make people laugh even when I really don't intend to, and I don't really know, not seeing myself every day except in a mirror, I don't really know what I look like when people laugh at me. And but for some reason, they'll laugh at me even if I don't tell a joke. And sometimes they'll laugh at me when I'm trying to be serious, which has always sort of bothered me. I mean, you're trying to accomplish something and people don't want to take you seriously, but that's the big nugget of information. If you can be kind to begin with and brighten their day, that's terrific, because there's a lot of people out there, including myself, who are carrying around a lot of stuff, and we don't know what their lives are like, because I'm not in their shoes, I'm not in their head. I don't know what their life's like. I don't know what they're going through, what kind of issues they're facing in the current day. Um, just just be kind to them, and we're all human. We're all actually part of a human race, all God's children. So we're really all brothers and sisters, and you have to. I struggle with that all the time because I get distracted with other things, and I don't take the time to realize that. But that really is the case. Now, you don't have to bend over backwards. You don't have to give money to the beggar who asks you. But it is kind of important to try and be kind to them in some way. In fact, somebody told me one time, and I know some folks, especially some Christian folks, are still doing this, is if you have a beggar come up to you, instead of giving that person money, which they may waste it on or buy booze or drugs or whatever, some people would give them food. Now, I don't know if you necessarily need to give them a whole brown bag or something to them, but usually if you had like some snack foods or something, you might be able to give that to them if they were truly hungry. But that means that you're willing to take care of them in some way, even if it's not exactly what they want. Seems like a pretty good compromise, and in a way that you can bless them. So, but again, be kind, try to make people laugh, and no matter how much you disagree with a person, because I was talking about political issues, whether it's at home, like the State of the Union address, or military campaigns in the other parts of the world when it comes to dictators and dealing with people who honestly are not good people and haven't been great for this society and really the Western world and maybe the entire world when it all comes down to it. You can disagree with people vehemently. You can dislike them. But try to be kind as much as you can. I mean, it makes you look good and it makes them feel better, and everybody can use a good laugh too. Man, I really wish I could laugh more than I do now. I still laugh though, and I still get silly sometimes, but it's not quite like it was when I was younger and I had less cares. And in fact, when we were at the new house last weekend, Adam Carolla was doing some shows down in Dallas, which is still, like I said, about an hour, maybe hour and a half, depending on the traffic. And we thought about going down there, but we were so tired doing this other stuff and at the house. I wanted to go see him, but anyway, I enjoy his podcast, and I enjoyed his stand-up as well. So anyway, I guess I'm rambling on a little bit too much at this point, but I just want to give that message out there. There's a lot of things we can do, simple things we can do to improve the world and improve our situations, not just for ourselves, but for others. And it doesn't take much. It doesn't cost much. But just be thinking about other people. Look at them as children of God, no matter how much you like or dislike them or agree or disagree with them. That's the simplest way to make our world better. And obviously there's other things that I'm interested in, and things that I think are really kind of a heaven on earth that is available to us, but we don't really take advantage of it, or we don't have the right attitudes toward it. I'm always talking about that sort of thing on this this podcast. Whenever you meet somebody, like a handshake, for instance, is a bare minimum. But if a hug would be better, then certainly we could. I think that's a good idea as well. And of course, other lifestyle choices, and whether you want to go skydiving and enjoy that exhilaration, or involve yourself in naturist recreation, which I talk about on this show a lot and hope to be doing pretty soon as the weather gets warmer. But Anyway, I think that's about it right now. My counter is over half an hour already. I hope you enjoyed this 100th episode. I didn't really pay a lot of tribute to it per se, but I did kind of talk about some things that I've always emphasized on the show, and I hope that you enjoyed it. And here's to 100 or hundreds of more episodes coming up in the future as we grow and evolve this show. I think it's really going to take off, and it's really going to be exciting. And I'm always losing my train of thought as to what else I was going to say here. You know, I hope all of you are still listening here. I'm trying to wrap up the show here, but I'm having some difficulty doing so. Anyway, it'll come to me. Oh yeah, just one more announcement here. I don't. There's 4 Wednesdays in March. This is the first one. Looking at probably. I don't know this for sure. I don't want to tell you for sure that we're not going to have a show the 3rd and 4th week of the month. But there is a pretty good possibility, especially maybe not having one the 3rd week. I don't know. I don't know exactly how it's all going to play out yet. I'm still trying to figure out school assignments and how those are going to get done, considering the move and some other considerations with those. But there is a chance that we won't have an episode for 1 or 2 of these weeks in March. But I'll try to put a message out there once I know a little bit better. But I thank you for staying with me through this entire show and understanding that we may do a little bit of a pause here coming up, but it won't be long before we're back going strong again. So with that, I'm going to go ahead and wrap up this special 100th episode that I didn't make that special, which was what I was trying to say earlier. But anyway, as always, please share this show with your family, friends, neighbors, anybody you meet at the store or the coffee shop or the gas station, or maybe even the beggar on the side of the road that you're trying to be kind to, and maybe make people laugh as well. Hit the subscribe button. I know there's more and more people who are liking the show and subscribing to the show. And I would love to, I welcome your comments. I would love to hear your direct messages as well. No bots, of course, please. Not that they're necessarily going to listen, but I do view this as something of an interactive show, and I would like people to come in and provide some topics if they would like me to comment on them. I don't know that I have necessarily given you a lot of reason to think that I'm an expert on a lot of things, but I do have an opinion, and I do think about a lot of things, and I do feel like I have some deeper outside the box thoughts on many things out there that a lot of people kind of just don't pay a lot of attention to, but I do think are important, and hopefully you think they're important, and but we do live in a society, I think, where a lot of people don't get at least a little curious about some of the things that do or do not happen. And but I encourage you to write me and allow me to do some commentary on there, because it is getting challenging doing a show each and every week, and not necessarily knowing what to talk about or what you would like to hear, I think. And so I would really appreciate that, at least as long as this show remains a solo show for now. But anyway, after all those calls to action, I'm going to go ahead and sign off, and just thank you again for these 100 shows, and I look forward to many more with you. So until next time, this is your host, Frank Weber, signing off from It's a Frankly Hairy podcast, and we'll see you again here in the forest next week. Have a great week. Be kind. Be happy as much as you can. Make people laugh if you can. And I love you. Thank you so much. See you then. Bye.